Hey, what's going on out there, black people?
What's going on? Oh, you got him up. What's the good word?
Man, it's all good. Another Friday, man. Excited to be in the house with my people and my main man, Killa. Hey, this is the Talking Black podcast with Muck Killa. Hey, welcome to everybody that's joining in with us live, whether you're on Facebook, live with us, YouTube, or any platform out there. We're happy and thankful that you're joining us tonight for another great discussion topic about by black people, talking to black people about being black here in the United States or anywhere in the diaspora. Again, we thank you for being here. If you like I said, if you're joining us from any platform, we're glad that you're here. But if you don't have that Media Room 360 in that TV app, go to your Google Play Store, go to your App Store, download that app, man. We have a lot of great content on this platform, Black-owned, female-owned platform that is doing it big for the culture, man.
No doubt.
So, like I say, great content that we have. We have Muck Killa Talking Black. We've got Big Break Room in the 214. What else we got there?
Shining Scott and Mel's on the MIC in the morning.
Great
Recipe
show,
for Conversation with Antoinette. Let's Get It Radio, and a whole lot of other show Learning with Teacher Lou. And it's a ministry, which is great for tonight's topic, which is religion.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's good on your end, Muck?
Man, it's all good, man. You say that the topics tonight is religion, man. It's been a journey for me in my life with that topic, so I'm excited to get into that. But before we do, like I said, we welcome anybody that's here to join the conversation. Things that we're talking about. We want to hear your opinion about these things. Our experiences, we want the feedback, man. These are our experiences. We're sharing some of our things, and we're trying to learn from our people, so we can come to some type of solutions about the problems that we face as a people, so we can address these things and keep moving the culture forward. Like I said, and if you're here and you're black, we welcome you. If you're not black and you're here because you're interested in different cultures and want to learn about those things, we'll welcome you as well. And if you're just here to find something to be negative about, or to be a agent of the system and run back and tell what we're talking about, hey, we welcome you too, because like I said, everything that we talk about on this show is truth. And if it's not truth, it's just our opinion anyway. So like we say, run tell that. But let's get into it, my man.
Yeah, you have tuned into the latest edition of the Muck Killa Talking Black podcast, where we discuss elements of current events and share stories of our trials and our triumphs. Today, we're having a conversation on the topic of religion, and this is the sixth area of people activity, where Neely Fuller has defined his thoughts on the subject in the form of a suggestion. And really, I'm going to read today from the book what he's sharing about this topic called religion. And he says, according to compensatory counter-racist logic, religion means the sum total of everything that a person thinks, and everything that he or she says, plus everything that he or she does. Mm-hmm. A religion includes all parts of a person's existence, each minute of each day, even if those parts are never put into words, they are still part of the person's religion if the person is willing or willfully, deliberately speaks and acts according to those parts. Okay. Religion is not separate from existence, nor is it separate from any part of existence. To put it into unnecessary arguments about what religion does or does not mean, pay greater attention to what people actually do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And compare what they actually do with what they themselves have said that their choice of religion requires them to do.
Yeah.
According to compensatory counter-racist logic and or the law of compensation, there is reason to believe that in the known universe, a force or power exists that is greater than the mind power, body power of all the people in the known universe combined.
Yeah, okay.
This force is most often referred to as all power, God, Yahweh, and the Creator, Great Spirit, Allah, and on and on.
Okay.
And this is the greatest force in the known universe, though there has been great disagreement about the form of this force. There is little disagreement about the existence of this power and the existence of closely interrelated combination of forces that cause this power.
Mm-hmm. So that's comprehensive. Yeah, but that's comprehensive though, and that gives the framework, because when we talk about we say the word religion, I hear people say, well, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. I'm not spiritual, I'm religious. So that to lay down what the fundamentals of the word means to people and what it should mean, laying out that definition gives you a framework to work from, because people are talking about two different things or three or four different things when you speak of religion. So that clears it up if that's how we're looking at it, which I agree. I agree with the statement. Looking at it that way is a great fundamental way to look at religion.
Right. No. It's a good point. My question to you, Muck, tonight is, how did you come to your belief, or how did you create your own belief system? I have some insight, obviously, knowing that your journey. But let's talk to those that are listening out today. How did you come to your understanding that you have about religion?
Yeah. So fun, early on, I grew up in a Christian family, so my earliest understanding of anything of God and religion was being taken to church on Sundays, Wednesdays with mom, dad, grandparents, the Easter, Christmas, whatnot. So that's what I started to understand. I can still remember my first Easter speech. I was 5 years old. So I'm in the front of the church and I stand there real quiet. Yeah, I was clean, the boy cleaner than a whistle, looking G, feeling good. Yeah, I sit there and stood like this, and I said, "What y'all looking at me for? I just came to say Happy Easter Day," and everybody's, hey, look, praise God, and it made you feel good. It made you see that sense of connection to your people was great. So it just, I ended up moving with my grandparents right before I got to high school, and I went there every summer. My grandmother especially was a very God-fearing woman and in the church and leadership in the church. So she was always, to me, practicing the religion as far as I could see. She was the best model that I'd ever seen. And, my grandfather, he was older at that time. He didn't really go to church as much, but he was a believer. And he was a believer, but he was always like, man, hey, I don't need that church house to tell me. He had got to that point. So, but especially playing in the South, being in the Bible Belt, growing up in Texas, church and religious life is very important to everybody. And it's God, family, football. That's the kind of environment we grew up in. So, Yeah, so I mean, the indoctrination started early, but I always had questions, man. No matter what, I always had questions about, the stories of the Bible, did this happen, and a lot of the questions never got answered. They were always, well, you just gotta have faith, you just gotta believe, and for the most part, I did. I just believed it, because I just everybody seemed to believe it. So going on, when I went to college, and I went to Texas Christian University, and that was one of the reasons why I chose TCU, is because of the Christian foundation. Yeah, the Christian, what I'm saying? Right. Yeah. So I would say that was really the first time that I had been around people from other cultures, other countries that did not share the same viewpoints on religion that I did. So, wow. Yeah, so it was just like, they had just as much convictions in their beliefs that were opposite of mine that I had of my beliefs. So, me, I'm like, okay, if they really believe it that passionately, let me study their religions too, so I can be knowledgeable. I always want to be knowledgeable about something. If I'm having a disagreement, or if I'm having a debate, or just a conversation with anyone, I want to have some knowledge of what they believe and some historical reference from what they believe. And I just started to notice in my studies that there were a lot of the same principles in my religion and my days of worship as others. There was a lot of differences, but there was some commonalities there. But I never really thought about anything because it seemed to be working for me. What I believed was working to get to where I was trying to be in life. And I felt like that was the path that God had me on.
Right.
And once it got to a point where I had my first major failure in life, where things didn't go the way they were planned, and the way, if you just, if your steps are ordered, and if you do this by the book and you do this by the word, it's going to happen. And the first time that didn't happen to me it was like, wait a minute, man. It's Lord, has thou forsaken me? It's like, it can't be.
What did I do?
What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? Because this is not supposed to be happening, So, as you go on, man, I'm continuing to, when you're asking those questions about what did I do wrong, and I got deeper and deeper. I got deeper and deeper into the world, to the word, not the world, but the word, and just kind of, I would say at a point I was a fanatic, maybe a zealot, a Christian zealot, and you probably can attest to that. I had a conversation with a brother to 5 or 6 in the morning, debating his philosophy and my religious philosophy, but I was always willing to discuss it, always willing to share my views about it, and
why do you think you were so willing?
Because my whole thing has always been, I want the truth. And I don't really care what the truth is. I want to know it. I'm on a need to know basis. That's just how I work. If I don't know it and I can't believe in it, man, I find it very hard to follow something I can't believe in. And I can't believe in something just because you're supposed to believe in it. Either I believe it or I don't believe it. It's one of the two for me. And I just don't have the ability to fake it for too long about what I believe. And so when I hear some stuff, and like I said, the questions that I have, I needed answers, and I never got a satisfactory answer to the questions that I had concerning, how I was practicing the religion, how the religion was taught to me, and some of the contradictions I've seen in people that were practicing the religion as well.
Yeah.
So,
the ambassadors, the representatives.
Yeah. So I'm digging deeper and deeper into the word, trying to get understanding, praying, fasting, whatever, meditating, whatever on the word. And this is what I'm taught to do.
Yeah.
And I remember I was reading this passage, and like I said, it's been so long ago that I don't remember the scripture or what really the context of the scripture, but I do remember it was Jesus was saying something to somebody about, I came with the blood and the water, not only with the blood but with the water as well. Now, the fact that was emphasized, I said that has some significance to it, because Jesus wouldn't have said that twice and emphasized the blood and the water if there wasn't a significance to the blood and the water. So, so I said, okay. And at the time, this is early 90s. No, that's not early 90s. So this is early 2000s.
Yeah.
And
this is after college. This is AC after college.
It's after college. Yeah. I'm grown. I'm out of the NFL. I got kids. I think Baze is born at this point. So we got 4 kids already. Yeah. So early 2000. So yeah, it was around 2005 to 2004, somewhere around there. And so I just I said, I used to go read a lot of go on the internet and read pastors' notes. Like pastors would put their notes of certain sermons that they had online. And this was really before video. There wasn't YouTubes or anything. It was still pretty much text on a website. So I would go to Creflo Dollar's page or somebody I know, Graham or somebody's probably spoken on the blood and the water. So I was looking for some notes. And as I was going through the notes, Googling it, there was only one person that had a sermon that was out there about the blood and the water. And it was a guy named Neville Goddard. He was a minister, a Christian mystic minister. And he was, around the 1930s.
From what time frame?
This from the he was this 1930s to the 40s and early 50s. So from the late 30s through the early 50s is when he was almost like like Billy Graham of our day. He was a traveling minister. So he was he was a guy. He was from Barbados too. He was from Barbados. So he challenged me in this thing to not look at the Bible literally, but as a metaphoric.
Yeah.
And then he would break down the metaphors and how what the Bible was saying metaphorically and astrologically and how it all fit in the daily life. And I was like, first of all, when the challenge to not even think that it was real frightened me. I was actually literally, I was like, wait a minute. So you're trying to say, don't take this stuff literally. And I was like, man, but as I said, okay, I said, you know what? The things that he was saying made so much sense to me. It made so much sense that I was like, okay, I need to reevaluate. I need to really reevaluate my understanding, my belief. And so when I do this, like say it's 2:00 in the morning, everybody in my house is asleep. I'm up in the living room on the computer and it's dark in the house. When I come to this realization, hey, don't take this literally. I was afraid. I'm looking around in my apartment like I was literally scared. Like, you better make sure that you believe this is real or else I'm gonna come get you. That was the feel I had then. A level of fear just came over me. But I said, you know what? I gotta really sit back and say, let me rethink these things. So I said, okay, I'm gonna wipe away everything that I think I believe. Everything I think I believe, I'm gonna shelve that. Everything's off the table. Everything's on the table. So I started going back, rereading the Bible, rereading other texts, rereading things and making it, especially the Bible, not saying it was a literal book, but reading it metaphorically. And then, like I said, I really started saying, you know what? Yeah, that makes sense. And this doesn't make sense anymore. And it took me about 4 years, man. It took me about 4 years to come out and say that I no longer believe that. I was that afraid socially to come out. I was going to church. We were attending church. I'm paying tithes. We are involved in the church. And the church had been very helpful to me. and my family.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, and like, you know, the I grew up in Mount Pleasant, where the pastor of the church is still a great friend of mine, you know, and a mentor of mine. And the people that helped raise me to get to this point were all God-fearing people that believe these things. So it was very hard for me to come out and say, you know what, I no longer believe this, and actually tell them that. And it was about 4 years I went, you know, secretly, in a sense, questioning, talking, asking very hard questions from those that believed.
Yeah.
And losing friends. You know, at the time, you know, losing friends who, you know, just refused to even. Yeah, huh?
Said people you love.
Yeah, people I love, man, close family members, like distancing themselves from me because I was asking these tough questions, and then it got to a point
you had to start a letter on your chest. Then.
Yeah, but there were a lot of people that say, okay, you know, I disagree with you, brother. I'm gonna pray with you, and we our bonds got tighter. You know what I'm saying? So it was those people that were willing to open up and be challenged and to challenge my thinking. You know, we got stronger, even though we never came to a consensus. You know, it was agree to disagree on that, but we kept loving each other, kept going.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah.
No, because at the end of the day, you're going to be held accountable for your choices.
Yeah.
And how you you know, like Neely said, chose to do what you did. Now, I had a different experience to how I came to what I call now Unitarian Universalism.
Yeah.
And the belief in one God.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna back my way into that first. So
okay.
When I was a kid, I was very proactive about going to church. Mm-hmm. You didn't have to tell me to go to church. Mm-hmm. I woke up on Sunday and said, I'm going to church today. And I found my way to church. Mm-hmm. So Greenville Avenue Church of Christ was where I was baptized for the second time. Mm-hmm. Because I had gotten baptized in the Baptist when I was like 6 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
And they said, well, you know, you have to accept Christ as your Savior, and you know that He died for your sins. And at that time, I professed that.
Yeah.
Will honestly say I didn't know exactly what I was professing to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, you know, I would see people who were very serious about their spiritual walk and going to church, very disciplined. I was in Vacation Bible School. I was Seder in Vacation Bible School courses. I was always one to lead the choir and have solos and be in the plays that we would have on Easter and Christmas. And I was heavily involved. And I don't know if I shared this with you, but I had a great grandfather who created Second Baptist Church in Rock Island, Illinois, and that church is still alive and well attended, with Pastor Williamson as the current pastor.
Okay.
My grandfather was a deacon in the church. Okay. So I have a lot of history of involvement. I've got I got a cousin in Louisiana who has 2 churches. And to be honest with you, these are the people that were a part of my development.
Yeah, yeah.
My father was a community guy. My grandfather was a community guy. I'm a community person. I feel like giving back is extremely important. But I've come to a conclusion for myself in my development based on the historical knowledge that I was exposed to. I went to an African history course when I was in high school, and it talked about 25 dynasties that made up civilization. Yeah. And, you know, talked about the great kings and queens of our ancient world. And so that helped me kind of realize my purpose, you know, that I'm a part of a group of people who have done great things to bring civilization to the world.
Yeah.
I didn't read about this in the history books. I didn't read about this in high school or any other, private school education or public education, because I went to TCU and there was some private education there, and you know, another college and there was private education, but no one ever talked about, you know, the role that Black people played in the world history.
Yeah.
being given that information, I now have something different than a lot of my friends have.
Yeah.
I'm knowing that, who Imhotep was, who Akhenaten, who Tutmosis III was, who Hatshepsut was, who Hathor was, and Cleopatra and Nefertiti, and all of these great pharaohs of civilization. And I'm saying, well, why don't people talk about this in our public education? And we'll get to why in a moment.
Yeah.
These are the things that I'm grappling with coming in as a freshman at TCU.
Yeah.
And we know what it means to give ourselves up to a system and say, hey, I'm going to do whatever you tell me, coach.
Yeah.
I'm gonna run these gassers. I'm gonna get ready for the game. I'm gonna, be a good teammate.
Run through a brick wall for you. Whatever you ask me to do, coach, I'm ready. Yeah.
And so, all of these things come to a head. And again, I had, to be honest, been exposed to a different, narrative. George Frazier talks about the three narratives that Black people tell themselves.
Mm-hmm.
One narrative is the slavery narrative.
Yeah.
So the other narrative is the biblical narrative.
Yeah.
And the narrative that I got growing up was a spiritual narrative, based on the Horus, Osiris, Isis, Trinity.
Yeah.
That is similar to the Jesus, Holy Ghost, and the Father Trinity.
Yeah.
And when I say I'm Unitarian Universalist, it means only believe in one God.
Yeah.
And so that's going back to an ancient understanding.
Yeah.
Because when the Westerners came in to define what those people in ancient Africa were actually practicing,
how they were actually doing it.
They thought it was polytheistic.
Yeah.
Based on their understanding and their frame of reference and their perspective.
Yes.
It was monotheistic. They just had different aspects to what made up that one God.
Hey, what do those words mean? Polytheistic and monotheistic. What do those mean?
So polytheistic is a religion in many gods.
Okay.
Mono is mono.
One.
Monotheistic, which the root word is mono, is one.
Yes.
So monotheistic believes in one God.
Yeah.
And, I'm not here to tell anybody how to believe.
Yes. No, that's not.
That's not. I'm just sharing my journey on how I came to my understanding and using my historical exposure and experience to help reconcile what I was learning going to church.
Yeah.
And I was actually trying to listen to the preacher and what he was saying and how that was a part of my reality. And I was always confused. Yeah. Because if you read the Bible, there's some allegory, there's some metaphors that, like you're talking about the blood on the water, right? I mean, you can get 5 people to read that same passage and they all will come up with 5 different views.
Yes. Yeah.
And for me, that was not necessarily the answer.
Yeah.
I wanted to find this singular connection to this thing. And so it's been a very hard, like you said earlier, if you have different views, it's hard to express that because people will ridicule you and say that there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
They won't ask you any questions, but they will definitely, apply their judgments to you.
Yeah.
But I'm a good person.
Yeah.
And I go to sleep at night with a light heart. And I live a life of virtue. Yeah. So honesty means something to me. Integrity means something to me. Character means something to me. Yeah. Those are the things that I value. And it's funny where people never talk about what you value. They just want to know what you believe. Yeah. Yeah. What do you believe? Right. And if you don't believe what I believe, then something's wrong with you. Well, yeah. We're not aligned. I don't feel comfortable with where you're coming from. You know, we've been taught these things before we could actually understand what we were being taught.
Yeah.
And that was my journey. And when I became aware, when I became conscious of how to make decisions and how to rationalize and synthesize and you know, comprehend, I was coming to a conclusion that, you know, wasn't consistent with what everyone else seemed to be coming to.
Yeah, that's kind of how. Yeah, that's what I was noticing. And you talk about character and integrity. You know, when I hear what you profess to believe, but yet I don't see you acting those things out, you know, that to me is a red flag. So if you're gonna come to me and say, well, God told me to tell you this such and such and such, you know, I'm like, so he told you to tell me. Like, he couldn't talk to me directly, but you had a special connection.
My line must have been busy.
Yeah, my line was busy. I wasn't paying attention. He tapped you on the shoulder and said, hey, go tell your brother. You know, but when I see those types of contradictions, like we say, man, I got to see the total package. And I have yet to see any man, you know what I'm saying? And they say Jesus did it, and that's the example, and that's what I should be following. And I get that. But I haven't seen anybody able to follow close to it, but yet there's people that claim to have a special connection. You know what I'm saying? And that to me was really, really troubling. Because
it's the human condition. We're so flawed. And I mean, even if you read the word, you know that everybody sins. And so if that's the case, then the people carrying the message, they're sinning too.
Yeah.
You know, but let's get back on track, man. You know, we're talking black tonight. You know, I don't want to get too much in my feelings.
Yeah, no.
What do we need from a religious standpoint for black people, and how does the black church fit into that? What is your view on the black church?
So it is the cornerstone institution of black people here in America. It's the only institution that we have that is black owned and controlled. And we talk about the areas of the institutions that all societies have. You have the political and the government institutions. You have your finance and your economic institutions, your banks or whatnot. You have your religious institutions, which where the churches fall in and the services that the churches provide. Then you have the education institutions, the schools and the institutions of higher learning and the trade schools where you educate your people. And then you have your medical and the healthcare facilities that keep the people healthy. So all of those education. So you have all of those pillars that a society is based on. And at this point, black people in America only have the church that we have a real institution that's set up that's connecting all of the people in a way. And that's good, and it's also bad because it's good that it is a point for us to come together. It has been a galvanizing point for black people in the struggle. If you look at the civil rights movement and all of the strides of the Reconstruction, through the civil rights movement, through today, religion has always been in the center. Our greatest leaders are the ones that are revered the most, are all some type of ministers.
Who are your greatest leaders? Who have you identified as great leaders in African, from an African American perspective, that are from America, that have impacted the lives of African Americans?
The most, in my opinion?
Yeah.
So I would say this. I got three people. One being Frederick Douglass.
Okay.
I think Frederick Douglass is he moved us forward. He moved us forward in a way that he was the only one to sit there. He was the first one to tell the white man about himself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He was the first one to say, hey, you know, this great America, this all equality that y'all claiming is all well and good, and y'all building a great thing, but y'all might want to look at what y'all doing to the people y'all call Negro. You know what I'm saying? He was the first one to really shine the light on the contradiction.
Using the Bible to showcase the difference,
hypocrisy
in what the hypocrisy.
The hypocrisy.
Saying that, you know, this, and you say you believe this, but you're subjecting these people to chattel slavery.
Yes.
There's a contradiction there that to me it's still not been fully reconciled.
It's not been. And then Harriet Tubman is a hero of mine. I mean, when because at the end of the day, there has to be some action. There has to be some action behind what.
That's a good point.
Behind the word. So, this is my view on God. You know, I'm a Unitarian Universalist. I believe in one God, and the universal part is I believe that every living being is a part of that one higher power. It's a universal energy that we all share, and we are all just different manifestations of that one single energy. Whether you call it higher power, the universe, God, Jesus, Buddha, whatever your name, or you named off what the differences that Neely and not, but whatever you call that force, it's just that one force.
Yeah.
Right. So at the end of the day, I see God. I got this image in my head. God is sitting there saying, "You guys are sitting here asking me to do things that I gave you the ability to do. You know, y'all sitting back saying, I'm waiting on the Lord. And I'm the Lord telling you, bro, I already shot the gun. Everybody off running, you standing there like, I'm waiting on God. I'm waiting on God. But God just telling you, man, go. You know, you got it. I already told you what to do and how to do it. All the power is in your hands to do that. And a lot of people sitting there waiting on God to give.
You know, one of my favorite parables is the parable of the talents.
Yeah.
Where God gives 10 people 10 talents.
Yeah.
And you know that you always got that one person who sits on their talent.
Yeah.
It doesn't develop it. And guess what? God takes it away. And that's what I think is synonymous with the, you know, I'm not throwing the Bible out with the bathwater. That's not what I'm doing.
No.
But what I am doing is being critical of the way in which I come to my own understanding of what God is. And so for me, I don't trust men. It's not God that I don't trust.
Yeah.
But it's men. And there's a difference. Sometimes when you deny the trust in men, people confuse that with God because they're putting their faith in men.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't put my faith in man. And anything that was written on this planet was written by a man.
By a man.
For whatever political,
spiritual or religion, whatever that agenda was.
Exactly. That's what my mistrust is. It's not in God.
Yeah.
God ain't no one word down.
Yeah.
That's not his. That's not what God is doing. But in my estimation, so you know, you're right. I mean, it's economics, politics, financial, healthcare, education that we find ourselves in, and you know, to be able to express the many different needs. How do you think the pastor, that role that the pastor has in the church, how does that actually assist us to get to that salvation, or how does it assist us to, you know, improving, you know, our communities? You know, what about jobs? What about those things? So kind of give me an idea what you your perspective on that.
Yeah. So I'll give you a good perspective too. And you, my third person, I didn't get to my third most influential individual in my
Right,
estimation.
right.
And to me, somebody is often overlooked. Uh, and I don't think people really see what's happening. But Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad,
Wow.
has done, man, he has done so much for this culture,
Rehabilitation. Yeah.
rehabilitation. And then if you look at, I know I'm not stealing one of yours. I'm not even, but I am stealing one of yours. But if you look at the greatest leaders that Malcolm X, you look at Muhammad Ali, you look at Farrakhan, you look at a lot of different people. That's Mike Tyson is now, the Nation of Islam. You know what I'm saying? This man himself and his vision has been pivotal. Everything Malcolm X said, for the most part, was what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had told them. They
Yeah.
all give credit to what this man has led them to seeing. And the Million Man March doesn't happen where you bring over a million black people together at one time without the leadership of Farrakhan, who is following in the footsteps of Elijah Muhammad. And then you talk about the pillars. And this what I had this discussion with a lot of people, and you get a lot of different uh, views on this. But Malcolm X killed, Martin Luther King Jr. killed, JFK killed, Medgar Evers killed, and nobody says anything more harsh or more direct about white people than the Nation of Islam and Elijah Muhammad. And he was still alive. He died, peacefully in a
Elijah.
sense. You know what I'm saying? Elijah Poole. So so it's like this. So what was the difference? Why was he able to say, and the organization able to say and do what they did, and to continue to this day to speak truth to power, is because they've never asked the white man for anything.
Yeah.
That's what I know. They never asked them for anything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When we talk about the institutions, Nation of Islam, they have all the institutions built in. They have banking. They have the spiritual aspect. They have the educational arm. They have the political arm. They have all of those things in place to service the people that believe in what they believe in. So they don't have to really go outside, and they handle their issues internally, however they handle them, whatever that code is and that value system that they're going off of, that's how they handle it. And I have so much respect for that. And as far as the doctrine, the
I got some
doctrine.
questions for you though, man. I got some
Yeah.
questions for you on this religion thing, since we talk about religion.
Okay.
And hopefully, it'll help, people ask themselves questions. So
Yeah.
I got about 4 questions I'm gonna ask you, and you just
All right.
you just respond the best way you know how.
All right.
What does your religion or spiritualism require you to do in regards to me in all my interactions with you in all areas of activity?
Yeah. So, as a Unitarian Universalist, we say very liberal in a sense religion practice. We take wisdom from many different spiritual sources: the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, the Buddhist text, the Tao. Any wise text, even text that speaks truth and wisdom, that was written in poetry or by any man, you can recognize truth. I'm on a quest for the truth so that humans can find answers to the condition that we find ourselves in, regardless of where that comes from. So my job, how I'm handling anybody, is to, hey, I'm there to support you in whatever your beliefs are. If you find something that's working for you, I'm there to support that. And I would expect the same from anybody else. Whatever I find in my spirituality that's working for me, then I would want to be respected and encouraged to go that route. And that's what I do to everybody else. I encourage you to go the route that your heart leads you to go, because you know better than anybody the truth about you. Nobody knows my truth. It's people that don't know me. They don't know me and they don't know how I view things. So for somebody to say, God told you to tell me something, bro, and especially when I was younger, it's hard for somebody to say God told them something about me because I didn't even know who I was. So I'm not gonna be able to receive your
That part.
information about what God said about what I need to be doing. I don't even know who I am. And once I got to the point where I knew who I was and who I am, then there's no need for anybody to tell me anything what God said because I'm in complete alignment with my God.
So should I expect you to practice all of the requirements of your religion at all times?
Yeah. If I'm professing something with my mouth and I'm saying this is who I am, man, part of integrity and character is doing what you say you do. You know, if I'm out here saying one thing and doing another thing, man, that's just too inconsistent for me to buy into. So yeah, I would expect you to require me to practice what I preach.
Oh, okay. And last question: are you doing your best to have all people be members of and or be a part of your religion? If so, how? If not, why not?
Yeah. So I would say yes and no. That's kind of a not a tricky, but it's kind of like a catch-22 because my religious affiliation allows me to mingle with people of all religions and worship and fellowship of people with any religion or no religion. Yeah. So I can support you, and I am encouraging everybody to do that. I am encouraging everybody to worship with me. You know what I'm saying? But how you worship, I'm not asking you to worship like me. I'm asking you to worship with me.
However you come,
How
whatever
how how
conclusion you
how,
come to,
how
as to
whatever
how you want to
conclusion you
worship.
come to. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know we in pretty deep, man. So
Yeah.
what's the solution? Like how do we improve our communities through religion, and what's the most constructive way to approach that? Because I
Yeah.
mean, we know we're all too familiar with the fact that we all have different experiences.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
of us. There's no
Yeah.
person having the same experience as someone else because you're
True.
not with that person 100% of the time. One,
Exactly.
then obviously, it's just like it's like dominoes. All you got all these different
Yeah.
probabilities that could take
Yeah.
place. So, how is it designed so for us to come together, or is it designed for us to not come together? What is the solution for
For
as a group? How do
yeah.
we look at the realities that we're faced with from a religious perspective? Because this is a very powerful topic tonight. I mean,
Yeah.
we're just breaking the surface, sharing some foundational experiences, but religion has been had a hand in the creation of our reality for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. So we can go back to how the institution of the Black church and our religious experiences, we've got to really, think about the diversity in that and we always talk about inclusion, diversity and inclusion, and that never seems to go with our religious institutions in a sense. So we have all of these great minds and great culture that we share here as Black people in this country. No matter what your religion is, we have a similar experience, not an exact, but we have a similar experience being Black in the country than we serve. So the common obstacles and the common goals are the things that we should be focusing on. Where can we align at? Where do we agree at? And not be looking at where we're not aligned at. And I think we spend too much time focusing on those things that we don't agree with. We just okay, what do we agree with? And let's start there. When we talk about the Black church, I want to go back and make this point. Because it's our only institution, because this is the bad part of that, it's our only institution. We run our financial institutions, our educational institutions, our political institutions and our healthcare institutions all run through the church.
Right.
They all run through the church, being led by men that are not, men and women that for the most part are not equipped to handle those other areas.
Like, give me an example.
Like, okay, like if you are a pastor and you are a spiritual warrior, but you're not a financial advisor, you shouldn't be over the money. I mean, saying like, why are we giving our money? Why are we tithing to the church? And I understand we say, well, that's what the God said, bring your money to the storehouse.
Sure.
Man, let's really reevaluate that too. You know what I'm saying? And how that's spit. But what if we put our money, everybody put that 10% or something in a community bank, managed by somebody that understands finance and understands investment, thereby giving back to the community on an investment. The church is a nonprofit organization. We're tithing and giving our extra to the church when it's really not equipped to create a return on investment. You see what I'm saying? It's not set up to get a return.
Yeah.
So when we talk about tithing, that's off the top. You know, that's like 10% off the top, given to the church, given to somebody that for the most part is probably not equipped to manage the money or handle the money, outside of just doing things that the church needs done and the services that the church
ministries
supporting the ministries of the actual church body. But that does nothing for other areas, and it's too much put on the church. We need to separate those institutions.
Well, yeah, where are those deposits going on Sunday or Monday morning?
Yeah, and like you said, it's so mixed between different churches. You have pastors that are where they have a staff, they have people that are in place to do those things. We're building mega churches. We're doing a lot of things. I know there's pastors out there building whole communities. You know what I'm saying? And that's a great thing. But at the end of the day, there's way too many people out there that are leading these organizations, getting these tithes, that don't have a clue about anything other than preaching. And that's the problem.
Yeah, they're susceptible to being dominated in those other areas because of their lack of knowledge. I mean, we have a trend going on in our world these days where people that have money think that they're smart.
Yeah.
When whatever it took you or whatever you did to get the money, didn't mean you were capable of allocating
it or increasing it or managing investment. Managing.
So you know, I mean, obviously I got some experience there that we're not going to talk about today, but you're right. You know, there are different institutions that benefit from the efforts of the Black church.
Yeah.
And those efforts aren't going to Black people.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And so
I wanted to say this too, in comparison to Anglo-Saxon or white churches, we see like the Roman Catholic Church and the Catholic diocese and parishes, and they have all those institutions, and they're able to function under a church governing body. But the one thing that's different between the Black church and those churches is that those churches are being funded by other institutions that white people have put up. The business arm and the finance arm that white people have had, Wall Street, those things donate money back to the churches. The business community of the white, they donate money back to the churches. So the churches don't necessarily, white churches don't need the members' money to operate, because they're getting money from the other institutions that support white America. We're doing it totally backwards. Church is trying to support all the other institutions, when the white people, the institutions support the church. And then the church takes those resources and services the people. But we got it backwards. We got the people of the church trying to raise the money to create all the other things that we need done. And it's too much. It's too much to put on the Black church.
Yeah, they need some support in areas that will help make better decisions for the community.
Definitely. Yeah, and you get more people involved because the way it's set up, if you're not in the church, then you're not a part of it. So we're canceling out a whole lot of people that are beneficial to our situation. And we got a lot of talent in Black people. That's sort of like what you said. There's a lot of wasted talent in Black people because they're not aligned spiritually. We're wasting people away.
Yeah. I mean, this is the destruction of the Black family is the biggest loser in all of this, right? As a Black man, I'm going to come to my own conclusion on what I believe.
Yeah.
And that just like every other man does. And I'm not going to be subject to any other, process, because I know that a man created his own process.
Yeah.
And a lot of people started following it, and that was the soup of the day.
Yeah.
But and I don't knock anybody for that process, because I understand the history of how we got here. People were oppressed. People were forced to believe in things just so they could survive.
Yeah.
It's you go to church or we gonna whoop that butt.
Yeah. You gonna get the lashes.
I mean that type of history with the people that we're still in contact with, and the fact that we don't have any ill will towards those people is an exercise in spirituality that will never be solved based on what I've been seeing. So I don't want to get off too much on a tangent. I know we're running out of time, but I think at the end of the day, being a truth seeker has served me well.
Yeah.
Asking questions has served me well. I mean, Sequise put that in the comments earlier. About when she was little, how she would ask questions and would be looked at because just do what I'm told was the philosophy.
That was philosophy.
I too was rebellious in that regard. I had questions, and I was boiling over with questions.
Yeah.
And somebody saying why you have so many questions didn't bother me at all, because I had so many questions that weren't getting answered. That finding some understanding settled my spirit.
Yeah, that became a life's mission. The search for truth is a life mission for me.
There was a lot of
that's continuing. Yeah, so there's a lot of confusion out there. So I'm on a serious quest for truth.
Unabashedly honest quest for truth. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So I'll tell you this, and people, we talk about religion, and God is always a part of religion. Like we said, there's so many different names for God, and some people view God in so many different terms. But I tell you something that really, really impacted me, and it was recently. It woke me up even further to my understanding of God and my stance on finding God and truth for myself. My dad, who is a minister, he is a Christian minister. He came to me one day and we were talking. He said, "You know what?" He said, "My Father is in heaven." And he's talking about himself. He said, my Father is in heaven. And he said, "Your Father is in heaven." So, and when he said that, it was the realization that he realized that he wasn't my real father. You see what I'm saying? And it's like this, for him to come to that realization was critical, because I knew all along that he wasn't my real father, because I ain't done nothing nigga told me to do my whole life. As a matter of fact, I was pretty much trying to do the opposite.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Growing up, I had my own mind. Everything that I was doing, unless it was a fear of being punished, I was doing my own thing. I've been doing my own thing this whole time. And he recognized that because he was doing the same thing, because he wasn't listening to my granddaddy. You know what I'm saying?
There's a lot of overlap between our experiences. I too had, my father in very strong presence in my life.
Yeah.
But because I'm growing up in a new world that he grew up in, I was torn and didn't know it.
Yeah.
So, I rebelled against what my father told me as well.
Yeah.
But I listened to those lessons he shared with me.
Yeah.
And that gave me a wider palette to pull from in the world and solve problems. But
Yeah.
the fundamental commonality, though, the common denominator was seek the truth.
Seek the truth.
And for me, I know for you, that's been something that I'm doing regardless. I'm asking questions, the tough questions. I'm not fearful of who I'm asking.
Yeah.
I'm realizing that they may not have the answers.
Yeah.
Or the answer might not be fulfilling for me. But
yeah.
I'm going to ask it either way. And man, I appreciate the show tonight, man. You did a fantastic job sharing your story.
Yeah. You too appreciate it.
That.
Yeah.
Check out Mel's
Shawnee and Mills on MIC in the morning.
Mike on the MIC in the morning.
Yeah.
Recipe for Conversation with Antoine Antoinette. Big Binks Break Room Podcast 214 and Let's Get It Radio, and obviously Muck Killa Talking Black. I really appreciate you again, man. Great show. We out.
Till next time.